Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2026 Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. Now, those of you who've been following this channel for a while know that I bought a Himalayan 450, which shares the engine with this, and it's really kind of the continuation of that is what this bike is. This is the second bike from Royal Enfield with their first liquid-cooled engine. Royal Enfield's been making bikes since like 1901, and they had sort of mastered the small bike, but they've moved into more modern things. They brought in some Triumph designers and other stuff. They've got a massive R&D and backing now, and they are one of the fastest growing motorcycle companies in the world. And like I said, I bought the Himalayan because I wanted to prove that small bikes can be fun, and here we are on their second small bike with the same liquid-cooled engine, an engine that I happen to like quite a bit. So we're going to talk about this bike and more. We're going to talk about how it fits in the class. We're going to talk about what it is. Hopefully I'll give you some information that you haven't heard before, and if you have questions that I don't get to in this video, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, because I'm filming here at Rally Motorplex, where they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup, and this place is massive. So we're going to cover all the 2026s that we possibly can. Everything from Royal Enfield, Ducati, BMW, Triumph, Indian, Suzuki, Yamaha, and more. All of that is here. So Zero motorcycles, Polaris stuff, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to cover all of that and more. So all of that to say, if you like what you're seeing here, the reason I can do some of this stuff is because you guys watch my videos. So to help me grow some more, do me a favor, just to find a couple videos you like on this channel, watch them to the end. That's all I ask, and that helps me get access. So let's get going with this review. So let's put this bike in a class. Well, first of all, let's talk about Royal Enfield briefly. Royal Enfield, like I mentioned off the top, make a ton of bikes. They kind of have felt dated to me in the past. I never paid any attention to them at all until the Himalayan 450 came out and everybody was raving about it, and now I'm one of those crazy people that's raving about it as well. So what they have done here is they still have a sort of small displacement bike, a 450cc, 452, I believe, cc, and what it is a single cylinder bike. So a lot of people compare that to dirt bikes when they start comparing, or dual sport bikes when they start comparing the engine size, but what it is a fairly modern bike overall. The engine technology is modern, there's a really cool dash here that's pretty modern, but of course Royal Enfield has made its history on these classic looking bikes. So what you gain here is something that's fully modern engined, competes with a number of small displacement bikes around the world right now. And here in North America, like I said, this thing isn't the best engine in the world. I'm not going to claim that it is, but for the money, you're getting a really, really high quality bike here. So there's a lot of differences between this and the Himalayan that I own. Let's start at the front wheel and work our way back. So if you've seen my reviews before, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I love to start at the front wheel because it tells you the manufacturer's intent for the motorcycle. So in this price class, in this CC class, you usually end up with some compromises, but I don't see that here. So first of all, what are we looking at? A 17-inch front wheel. It is a 120/70 R17. Now, a lot of these smaller displacement bikes will have a 110 width front tire. This is a 120 width. What that means is that it's the same size as every sport bike out there pretty much. So a little bit bigger than some of the small displacement sport bikes, that wider width, but that means you can replace these tires with anything you want. Now, what I like about these tires is they have some extra tread here, a little bit of an off-road type hint here. They are tubeless tires. They certainly have a sporting profile. So again, I kind of like the look of this. They call it sort of a roadster, this bike, but it does have a hint of what I would call semi-off-roadish tires, maybe a little bit of gravel road, dirt road kind of capability, but tubeless tires, nice wheels. So what we're doing here is, my favorite color actually is the silver color, although I haven't seen the black color yet. I'll show you the silver color a little bit later in this video, but because these wheels here are this color, they show up better on camera. There is a metallic paint on everything that's painted here, which I may not be able to show you perfectly, but let's take a look at what we've got. Single disc, that's standard for the class. On a lighter weight bike, that's going to work just fine. One thing that you'll see further back, hopefully I mentioned it, the rear discs on a lot of these Royal Enfields are larger than you would have on some of the competition. So you've got a single disc on the front, but extra braking on the rear that you would have over some other bikes. You do have right side up forks, not upside down forks, but they are Showa suspension, and the Showa suspension on my Himalayan astounds me because it is also not adjustable, just like these, but it is really, really tuned well. So I would assume, I haven't ridden this bike yet, it's just brand new, first time I'm looking at it, but I would assume that they've spent the time tuning this because they probably learned from the Himalayan, if you spend time tuning that suspension, you will have people rave about it. So quality show suspension, 43 millimeter forks, so bigger diameter forks than you would often see in this class. Definitely a brand name, something you don't always see in this class. Overall, you've got a really nice look here. Now you do have this extra long fender right over here that keeps you from having to get an extra guard to protect the engine down low to keep it clean or cleaner and free from debris. But what I'm seeing here so far, I really like. So taking a look at the heart of this bike is this Sherpa engine. This is really what a lot of people have been impressed with. It is a single cylinder engine, but it doesn't perform like a lot of single cylinder engines that a lot of us would expect. So first of all, for a single cylinder on my Himalayan, it is incredibly smooth, and this is laid out the exact same. Even the exhaust is the exact same. So I would expect it to be literally the exact same as a Himalayan engine. And what that means is it's a happy to rev engine. It is not on my Himalayan geared especially aggressive for full out acceleration, but it was geared perfectly on that bike for just overall riding. What I like about this is you can absolutely do highway speeds, no problem. You can also have fun around town, and because it's a 450, you actually enjoy shifting, so you can rev it out. It's really happy around the 5,500 RPM range. It's got that peak torque, and it just has a torquiness to it in the mid-range, but it continues out to build, where a lot of the single cylinder engines in like dirt bikes will have that grunt down low, maybe they die out up high. So it's kind of a mid-pack engine for power. It's about 40 horsepower. There are some that make a little bit more, but it seems to be like just a really happy engine at anything street speeds, and I really enjoy riding mine. I find that it's just really enjoyable to drive anywhere I would normally drive. Obviously, if you want to go on interstate highways in the States or major highways in Canada all the time, I wouldn't go for this. But if you're making your crossings on those every now and then, totally fine, and great on secondary highways, great in town, and a lot of fun. And remember, this bike is going to be lighter than the Himalayan, so you're going to have a better power to weight ratio on this bike than that. You also see a couple other little details in here that are different than the Himalayan. Let me just take a top-down view and show you what I'm talking about. So on the Himalayan, again, making that comparison because it shares an engine, shares a powertrain, you do have a different style brake lever here, which has a little more open there for off-roading. This is a more street style version here. So again, your brake lever right there. You got the shifter kind of look to it, but that means that whatever angle you put your foot on it, you're gonna have solid contact there. A couple little things worth noting. You've got some, I don't know if I can show you to here. Actually, we can be on there. You got your little feelers down there. You got your weights down there. That's gonna help take vibration out. You do have different pegs here than the Himalayan, but they're still rubber mounted here. It looks like these can come out, but I think you're going to leave them in. That's part of the sort of the vibration dampening here. But what's interesting is these are painted, as are the rear pegs right here. So right in the top of your screen there, fully painted. Everything on this is really well done. Again, I'm showing you a color that maybe not be my personal favorite, but you can see that metallic paint everywhere on the frame. It really matches well on the plastics as well up there. And again, I don't know if you can see from this angle. We'll try to see here as we zoom into the white there as well. Yeah, the white's not showing the metallic, but it also has a metallic on the white. We'll try to get that a little bit later in the shot there. The other cool thing is the tank shape there. You can kind of see from this angle, it's got a real flat kind of area here for the logo. Just really higher end looking bike when you take a look at it. And again, that sort of suits the engine as well. The engine is nothing crazy, single cylinder, but it feels just a little bit of a class above. All right, let's take a look at the rear wheel here quickly for a second. So same idea with the front. First of all, you have a little bit wider tire than you typically see on this CC motorcycle. So this is a 160 width tire, which often you see in that 650, even 700 kind of class out in the competition here. You can see on this particular color scheme, the rear wheel does not match color-wise with the front wheel. It's black in the rear. It's that sort of turquoisey bluey color. I'm not good with colors. I only know like 6 names of colors, but you know, that more bluey color up front and black back here, but you do have that accent color to tie it all together. And I did mention the rear brakes here. They are much larger on this. They're bi-brake brakes, which is by Brembo. So they're good quality brakes, not the top line Brembo brakes, but I find they work quite well for on the Himalayan that I have. But again, that little bit larger rear brake does give a little bit extra feel and control on the rear brake, which is kind of nice. And remember, you're not going 300 kilometers an hour, so it's not like you're having all of that braking done on the front wheel. You're driving around town normally, so you can really decide if you want front or rear brakes usage, and you can definitely notice that stronger rear brake. You have a lay-down shock here as well, which is something nice to see. I don't know if you can see it in this picture here, but it is kind of laid down in the center of your screen. Let's just zoom in for a second. So that's going to do what you would want on a motorbike for the weight distribution. A lot of the Royal Enfield bikes used to have the shocks down here. So again, everything is pushed forward and low, and that means this bike's gonna handle well. So a little bit wider tires allows you to have a little bit more variety in choosing your next tire. So if you want to keep these ones, you can. But if you want to go into sportier tires, you can do that as well. Let's take a look at what it looks like with me on the bike, and then we'll show you some of the other cool things along the way. So switching it up here to the silver model, the color that I think I would buy. Now there is a little bit better light on that one right now, but I want to show you, I'm sitting across here. First of all, the Himalayan, the one thing people complain about is the side stand is too far over. That's not the case on this one here. I'm gonna put that out of my way, put it up there. So you can see riding position here, it is definitely different than the Himalayan. First of all, I'm flat footing this easily, so nice and comfortable there. As a 6-footer, I can easily reach to the dash. I can move forward a little bit, I can move back a little bit. I've got some room on the seat, which again is another thing you don't normally find or don't always find on a small displacement bike. So you've got some room to move around here, easy to reach the brake pedal there, comfortable. You do share the mirrors with the Himalayan, but of course being a different handlebar, they're gonna be in a little different position. Without gear on, it looks like they do clear my hands. They will have to be moved just a little tiny bit for me to fully adjust. But again, comfortable seating position. And what I would feel of this is it's two things. If you're ever doing rider training, you don't want to go for the sport bike. You don't want to go for the dirt bike. You want to go for a bike that's more of this position. Now, this position is sort of that standard upright. You feel kind of like in that athletic stance. And that means you have a really good sense of balance on this bike. So in addition to being low to the ground, comfortable with your feet to the ground, that gives you confidence. I think most people find this to be the most comfortable seating position. It's definitely lighter than my Himalayan. There's no question. So despite the sharing of the engines, it is lighter. Now, part of that lower seat height comes from about 5.5 inches, give or take, and about 6 inches of suspension travel. So still pretty good travel for what this is, but the Himalayan has 8 inches. So right away, it's gonna jump that up higher. And then in the different handlebar, it's gonna put you in a different position. So for this bike right now, it feels sporty in the legs. You've got good ground clearance. If you wanna lean this bike over, you've got good ground clearance, and that's why you end up with this leg angle here. But to me, still a very comfortable angle. Some people always say, oh, this doesn't look comfortable to them. That's that sporty angle that for me, I find quite comfortable. The seat is firm, but wide enough and comfortable. And when I say firm, it feels firm in the sense that it's going to be comfortable long term, not firm like hard. Sometimes you sit in a showroom bike, it feels really hard off the bat. You know it's not going to be comfortable. So I would say seating position, they've really nailed it. The other thing they've nailed is the dash on this. I complained about this before I owned this dash, but I want to talk about why I think it's very good. So we'll take a look at this paint color, we'll take a look at that paint color, and then we'll take a look at the dash. So first of all, I want to kind of compliment Royal Enfield on their overall striping here. You've got that really kind of look that continues in there. They just do a little bit more detail than everybody else in the class, and I think that matters. Now this one is a sort of clear coated metallic type paint. You can see that, and I can feel like the stickers there, or the Royal Enfield on the side, it feels like it's clear coated right in. So again, not something you see typically in this price class or in this CC class. So we're going to zoom all the way in here, and you can see the metallic there. So pretty cool, high quality paint job. Everywhere that's white is this, everywhere that's blue is that. The black looks to be shiny but not metallic to me, and that's just the rear wheel on that. So kind of a cool look there. We'll just kind of give you a sense of where everything is there. We'll take a look at the seat in a second. You got the handles here. We're going to talk about all that in a second, but let me just show you the silver color, because again, this one has that sort of clear coat look, and then you've got the matte look of the silver. So let me show you that right now. So taking a look at the silver again, you can see a little bit more of that matte color with a little bit less bright light here, so we'll see how it goes. But there also is, if you look down here, the Guerrilla 450 in black and red. But again, if we zoom into this paint color again, you'll still see some sparkle in it here. Let's go a little further there. Still see some sparkle in there. You can see on maybe the left of your screen, sort of here, it focuses a little bit on the sparkle, but it is much more of a metallic or a matte kind of paint. So again, smooth to the touch as well, feels great. The Royal Enfield on the side here is, that feels like it might stick out. It may not be on a clear coat the same way. So little differences in the paint there. Haven't seen the black one yet. We'll see that as it comes in, but let's take a look at the dash on this bike now. All right, so we are fully wide angle right now. You can still see the gas cap here. What you may notice is this would be centered over here. The reason it's not centered is when you have it on the side stand. This bike only comes with a side stand. The Himalayan comes with a side stand and a center stand. That's part of what makes it heavier. So when you have this on the side stand, this is your high point on the tank. That allows you to fill it right up even on the side stand, which is perfect. That's nice to have. So let's zoom in a little tiny bit here. We're gonna turn the key here. We got lots of labels and stuff in there. There you can see the Guerrilla 450. Maybe we should just turn that off and turn it back on again. We'll get it focused right in now. All right, we're just gonna zoom in right tight on this circular dash. And as we do that, you can see that Guerrilla logo come in. Now, this dash has a history of flickering on camera. I am doing my best to limit that flickering as it is right now, but depending on your camera, especially some of those GoPros, it's gonna flicker. I can't fix the flicker completely that you're seeing right now, but we're gonna roll with it. First of all, you can invert colors. White is black, black can be white. There's lots of things you can do here. They have ride modes as well. The Himalayan, you can turn the ABS off. This one you can't, but it's the same ride modes otherwise. So you have performance mode or you have eco mode. Generally, all of us are going to keep it in performance mode. It's not an overpowering engine. It's going to be perfectly comfortable. But if you want to have just a little gentler performance, usually on the Himalayan it's first through fourth, so I would assume it would be the same here. It really kind of makes that throttle gentler. You can do that. And again, electronic throttle here, so you have nice things. Now, there is a joystick I'll switch to. We'll talk about that in a second here. You can see your trip computer here. So again, ignore fuel efficiency, anything like that. This thing's got 2 kilometers. It's been idling more than driving. Trip A, or trip 1, trip 2, I should say. Fuel range is in here, and that says less than 216. It will recalculate that as you go. Sometimes it'll say more than this, less than that, and then it'll start getting a little bit more accurate. So it's kind of a neat way to do things because a lot of bikes don't do anything until you start driving. This one will give you a basic idea. Now, I don't know how much, actually this one says full fuel. It's gonna get more than 216 kilometers for sure, and that's why it says more than, but it'll calculate better. Fuel consumption, that's your instant fuel efficiency. So remember that this can be switched, it's in kilometers per liter, it can be liters per 100 kilometers, it can be miles per gallon, that kind of thing. You can switch that around in the settings. Voltage is nice to have there. And then you have the engine temperatures. You can see it's blue right now. That blue will be a blue bar graph filling in until it gets warm, and then it'll switch to white, or in the case of the white dash, it'll be black. But that gives you a sense of if it's blue, it's still cold, and if it's black, or in this case white, it'll be warmed up. So that's kind of nice to have. The only thing missing here is there is a service interval thing, which you can turn on or off in your dash. I tend to have that off on mine as well, and just pay attention to how I ride. So you can do the service intervals in there as well. Now, there is a few other things that with this dash. There are a few other things with this dash. If I hold the button down on the throttle side, you can switch this dash down like this. Now what that does is give you more details in, for instance, your trip computer or something like that, but it also allows you to connect to your cell phone and have a full Google Maps up here. So you'll have Google Maps turn by turn, everything you need. It does run through your cell phone, it does leave your cell phone screen on. There is likely a USB, yeah, there's a USB-C port down on the dash here. We'll show you that in just a second. I like to just keep a MagSafe battery pack on the back of my phone in my pocket. That works really well. It's not super high power draw, but it is really nice to have navigation built into the dash, and it works way better than I would have originally given it credit for. That's one of those things where I thought it would be nice to have in a different way, but this does work quite well, and that just pairs with an app on your phone, works quite well. Now what's interesting is if you switch back to the regular dash here, you can still get those turn-by-turn navigations in this section here. It'll give you a turn-by-turn. It also allows you to connect to, in my case, I have an iPhone, so it connects to Apple Music. I can see that on there. So nice little functions in there that really work well. And some of the bikes that have CarPlay, you need to have a headset to listen to things. You don't need a headset to have your Google Maps or that kind of thing, but if you do, it'll give you those voice commands through the phone. So red line up here is about 8,000 RPM. As soon as you hit red line, this changes red, and of course that comes up and builds behind it. So you have nice, really nice dash here. One of the things I like about this dash, when it's inverted in white, neutral, for instance, is green, but if we switch down into first gear, if I can do that right now, I can't do it. Let's go to second. It's not letting me do it. But if you switch gears, although this is red, like you've got all these multicolored dashes, it looks just simple. It's a black and white dash with this gold bar, and then it only uses color when it needs to. So a lot of bikes kind of overdo the color. This still looks very classic when you see it. I really, really like this dash. Let's show you how you control it now. Taking a look at the clutch side here, it is a slipper and assist clutch, so that's nice to have. It's a little heavier of a slipper and assist clutch than some competitors out there, especially in the lower CC, but again, not super heavy, feels fine, you can shift it through town. But some people will say, oh, I don't think it's a slipper and shift because they've tested, say, Versus 300X, which has a super light clutch, and this one feels heavier. So in this case, it is a slipper and assist clutch, it just feels a little heavier than some of those bikes. You have a home button here to always return home on your dash, and then you have a joystick down here. Now, I'm just going to turn the bike off so I don't go through all the menus. The joystick can go up, can go down, can go right, can go left. You can see it kind of moving there. It doesn't move far. It is a little finicky, and there's also a press in button to select there. it is a little finicky and some people think it's really hard to control in the showroom setting. What I have found is I very quickly get used to exactly where it is. The problem with the up and down is your handlebars kind of turn, so you're not going up and down always this way. You're going up and down relative to the handlebars. So I found I got used to mine really quickly, had no issues with it. Then you got signals and horn right there. A lot of that standard stuff. What is not standard is the flash to pass. This is high beam there and the flash to pass there. I would prefer if it's the other way around. I feel like it's more natural to pull to flash than to push to flash. Works perfectly fine, works well. LED lights all the way around on this bike. Let's show you just a few more controls on the other side. So throttle side here, you have a little button that you can't see right here. It matches that home button on the other side. This is your hazard warning light. So you have 4-way flashes right there. This is your kill switch, on switch, and start switch right there. We're gonna leave that right there. And then this mode button switches between performance mode and eco mode by just tapping it, or if you hold it down, it'll switch that whole dash down. So it moves everything lower and gives you space up top for either more information or for your mapping type information. So hazard lights, start stop, and then the button here, of course, nice throttle. It is a nice lightweight throttle here, and I found the tuning on that in my Himalayan is perfect. So I expect the same thing here. And again, nice, easy to reach, good feel, brake pedal right there. Brake lever right there. Well, I went back to show you some pieces around the seat here, but I just realized this does have a center stand. So it has a center stand, has a side stand. There you go. You can use either one to fill that tank. And then you have over here, what I was going to show you is we'll come back out and you have the two little handles here. Now, on something like the Himalayan, you have accessories that can build into here, kind of connect down to your foot peg or your passenger foot peg and have all kinds of accessories down there. I haven't checked Royal Enfield's accessories just yet. I will tell you that it is nice to have a bike that is super versatile, and this is going to allow you, whether through Royal Enfield, I'm sure Royal Enfield has accessories, or aftermarket, you'll be able to put some accessory bags on here, and that makes this thing super, super, super practical. The other thing that's nice is there's a little handle right here, so even if you didn't have these in the way, you still have a handle there for your center stand to put the bike up or down, which is a nice little thing to have, and that is actually on both sides of the bike. So that little handle right here can be a tie down, these can be tie downs, and just as is, you can take your duffel bag, backpack, whatever you want, strap to the bike instead of yourself, and have some practicality there. So let's talk about who this bike is for. Well, first of all, I have some biases. I said that right off the bat. I really like the Royal Enfield brand. I bought the bike with this engine and I really like it. Now, it is not the perfect engine for everyone. It is lower powered, but what I do find is for everyday motorcycling, it's really enjoyable. On my Himalayan, the shift feels so precise. Everything feels really good. The suspension feels really good. And I would expect the exact same thing out of this. And what that means is Royal Enfield has made a huge history out of enjoyable bikes to ride that are reasonably powered. Now this one, the 450, like I said, that 40-ish horsepower is gonna do all the regular motorcycling that most of us do. It's gonna be really, really good on those country highways, that kind of thing where most of us wanna be. It's absolutely capable of taking two people. It's got the torque to do that. It's absolutely capable of going on the highways. It's got the power to do that. But where this bike is enjoyable is all around the areas or the speeds that most of us like to travel. So I love the engine, but you have to recognize that, hey, do I want an enjoyable bike at 450cc? Because a lot of small displacement bikes are underpowered and not super enjoyable. Now, underpowered for some of us. This one's still gonna be underpowered for some of you, but it is an enjoyable bike to ride with that engine. But let's talk about the rest of the bike. Again, not being an adventure bike, you lower this down, you've got better weight management for the average rider, but you don't really lose any practicality. Having this nice big flat seat, having the extra handlebars here, you can turn this bike into what you want it to be. So if you wanna go camping on this bike, you can add some accessories and off you go. If you wanna do a day trip, that kind of thing, if you take it to work as a commuter, if you take, stop by some stores, soft bags, hard bags probably, you should be able to mount because you've got all the mounting points there. But the other thing is, this thing's gonna have a bit of a sporty flair that the Himalayan doesn't have simply because of the way it's packaged and the lower seat height. So you've got that sportiness to it that's fun to ride, and you're still using that shifter through town, you're using that shifter out on the highways, and a lot of bikes, when you go on a country highway, if they have 6 speeds, as this one does, even if they're big, big engines, you're shifting up in that 6th gear anyway. So this one, you're not just wasting those shifts just to get into fuel efficiency area, you're using those shifts and part of driving. So to me, I have found this 450cc engine to be one of the most enjoyable engines I've driven, despite the fact that it's not that powerful, simply because it's fun to use no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Add in that navigation through the Google Maps and you have some functionality. I didn't point out that that USB-C port is right here on this handlebars there. You got modern LED lights, you got that modern dash, you got that modern feel overall, liquid-cooled engine, but you still have that retro classic look. Royal Enfield is really a leader in making bikes in this class. Like I said, nice paint on all of these. Overall, the suspension has been really good on mine. I would expect the same here because they've got the Sherpa suspension on there as well. So you're ending up with a bike that is super versatile. What I like about the wheel sizes is any kind of tire you want. You want to make this a little sportier, put a grippier tire on it, you can do that. You want to keep it as a little bit more versatile so you can go a little bit off-road, have some nice tread when you hit rain, that kind of things. You've got that tread on here, you can do that. You can kind of turn it into anything you want. And that's what you should have out of a motorcycle. That's what motorcycling always used to be. Use it for what suits you, recognizing that, you know, hey, with this much power, you've only got so much, you know, speed overall, but anything within the speed limits, you're gonna have fun with this bike, and that's the strong point of this bike. I quite like this bike. I think it's gonna be a hit for Royal Enfield. Like I said, part of that comes from knowing this engine, but I think this puts it into a more approachable bike that's really made for everyone. And if you are unsure of what kind of bike you want, this is the kind of bike you should get. If you think, hey, I'm gonna be doing some gravel roads, dirt roads, but I don't think I want an adventure bike yet, grab it with these tires, you'll be fine. If you want to do more sport riding, this is sporty right off the bat for street sport. If you want to make it more than that, you can do that as well. It's really a versatile bike, traveling around town, run around. It's gonna be good for everyone because it's a bike that's made for everyone with good technology. It's just a nice, nice bike, and Royal Enfield has great prices. So there's my long-winded review of the Guerrilla 450, a bike that I am officially a fan of.